All right, in today's video, I want to walk you through smart campaigns versus search campaigns inside Google Ads, essentially what they are, the pros and cons of each, and my thoughts on it, on which is better. So to start it off, we're going to walk over smart campaigns with what essentially is a smart campaign. And it's Google's attempt at allowing the vast majority of consumers to be on Google Ads and to use it as easily as possible. Now, a smart campaign can be set up in as little as 50 minutes. They're really, really easy to do. It doesn't take much time to really figure it out. Essentially, you click on a goal. Maybe it's more phone calls to your business. Maybe it's more leads to your website. Maybe it's more, people attending your business through map location settings, stuff like this. And then from there, Google asks you a bunch of keywords that people would be searching for, and it essentially sets up the account pretty easily. There's not much that goes into it. You set your daily budget, and you're pretty much good to go. You might have to write an ad or two, but very, very simple. That being said, the pros of smart campaigns, like I kind of just said, they're really easy to set up. So they're compared to a search campaign, compared to a display campaign, these are by far the easiest campaigns to set up. You can really take anyone and allow them to set up a smart campaign. It doesn't take much effort, and you don't really need to know much about the actual platform. The next thing is they really require minimal management. You can kind of check up on them every so often, but it really doesn't need any management from your end. Google's going to take the reins here and try to optimize through all of Google's platforms, or I should say, it's really going to try to optimize through all of Google's algorithms and AI. So yeah, it really doesn't require any management whatsoever. It's really good for just set it and forget it, and it's very easy. The next thing is Google uses multiple campaign types to actually produce leads for you. So you can appear on Google Search, Google Maps, Gmail, YouTube, partner websites. You really pop up anywhere. And these can produce some pretty good results, especially if you're new, you just kind of want a few leads here and there, and you have a limited budget. It's not too bad of an option for you. Now for the cons of the smart campaign, and really the biggest flaw with the smart campaign is the lack of control on the users. And you really can't do anything inside the campaign. You can kind of adjust ads, you can kind of move stuff around, but it's very, very limited when you compare them to all the other types of campaigns. That being said, this is Google's attempt to make Google Ads as easily as possible. So that's why they take away a lot of your control because there's so many options and there's so many things to look into. And also, when you compare the reporting types, the report type for a search campaign versus a smart campaign is very different. Smart campaigns are very simple, very easy to understand. Search campaigns much more complicated. So again, really trying to make it easy for the user to use. Um, Another con of smart campaigns is they don't generally produce results as well as other campaign types, especially if you know what you're doing. And this is because they don't allow you enough control to actually write your own ad copy, to A/B test that, to look at the keywords, to write your own landing pages. Well, you can still write your own landing pages, but they limit you at one landing page. Really, A/B testing is not really a feature inside this type of campaign. Google really wants to take the reins away from you, and doing so takes away the ability to really produce fantastic results. You can produce good results, but I've never really seen excellent results with a smart campaign just because it really takes a lot of the control that would allow you to optimize in the future for just amazing results away from you. Another thing, like I just said, one landing page per campaign. So if you want to run multiple landing pages and you have different services and offerings for uh, each product and service you offer, you have to make multiple or multiple smart campaigns. You can't just write, you can't just have multiple ad groups and have multiple landing pages in each. That's just not possible inside of a smart campaign. Another thing is, and this is a one big flaw with smart campaign, which is essentially it's a spray and pray method, and Google's going to try and find what works for you, and it's just going to shoot in every single direction, and hopefully something sticks on the wall, and they'll go from there. But it really can waste a lot of money if you're advertising on YouTube, Gmail, and these just aren't producing results. Like most of the time, a lot of your good customers are going to come from Google search, and Google may optimize for YouTube, may optimize for Gmail, Google Maps, and it's just not seeing the return. And due to the spray and pray method, you're going to lose a decent amount of money if Google doesn't immediately figure it out, which is generally the likelihood. Google does take time to figure things out. Now for a search campaign, the pros and cons of search campaigns. Generally, when you compare them at a basic level, a search campaign is much more advanced, much more detailed, and has much more control than a smart campaign. But the trade-off is it takes a lot more to understand and to set up properly and to optimize month over month. So, like I just said, a pro of this is total control. You can do essentially whatever you want in a search campaign. You can set it up however you like. You can have your keywords and you can have as many keywords in an ad group as you want. You can have multiple ad groups, all different landing pages. You're able to A/B test these ads. You're able to A/B test the keywords, well, not really A/B test, but really look at what keywords are doing well, which ones aren't. It just allows for full control and as much control as Google can realistically give you. And the next thing is it can produce excellent results. Like I said before, the smart campaign can produce good results. I've never seen it produce excellent results. Search campaign, if you know what you're doing and you've optimized and you're in a decent industry, you can produce excellent results, especially if you've had time to optimize. And that's one of the big trade-offs with search campaign and smart campaign. Smart campaign is easy to set up, anyone can do it, but it's not going to produce the same results as a search campaign. It's just not because you don't have the variables there to work with. You don't have all the unlimited control that you do in a search campaign that allows you to fine tune everything and get those just amazing results, month three, month four inside of a campaign. The next thing is it allows you to narrow down and really adjust everything. Like I said before, it allows you to adjust keywords. It allows you to adjust mobile devices. When you compare them to PC, to tablet, you can target demographics. You can target, there's so many things you can target and adjust and really, really narrow down on what you want out of Google Ads. And essentially, this all sums up to it allows for optimization where smart campaigns don't. Google says it's going to optimize, and its AI is going to try its best to optimize. But Search Campaign really allows for optimization on your hand. It allows for you to look at the keywords. It allows you to look at what devices are working, which ones aren't, and really have a winning campaign for a long time in the future. That being said, smart campaigns can still produce good results. I've just never seen them personally produce excellent results right off the bat. When you really want to get deep when you really want to take a deep dive into Google Ads and really start seeing results, you really need to go with a search campaign or display campaign or like something that is not controlled completely by Google. Um, just because you need the options, you need the levers to adjust that allow for just fantastic results in the account. Now, for the cons of a search campaign, they're much more difficult to set up, especially if you're using third-party tracking. You have to install the tracking on landing pages. You have to set up the landing pages properly, especially if you're using multiple landing pages. Whereas a lot of smart campaigns, they'll just run into a general website. I would not recommend doing that. Even for a smart campaign, you should be using landing pages. You have to set up all of your ad groups inside of a search campaign. You have to figure out your keywords. Are you using phrase, broad, or exact match? Um, all of these things take a lot more time to figure out, and if you don't know what you're doing, you can lose a lot of money, especially if you set up something like broad match instead of exact match or phrase match. You could blow your entire budget relatively quickly on keywords you're not looking to actually target just because you don't know the difference between those match types. Another con of search campaign is it requires weekly management, and smart campaigns really don't. You really need to go inside of a search campaign, optimize at least once a week, find the keywords that are winning, look at your ad copy, make sure it's going well, look at all your device settings, look at your landing pages or your A/B testing landing pages. There's so many things inside of a search campaign that you need to be checking on a weekly basis to ensure it continues to be optimized month over month. But that being said, really you can't do that in a smart campaign, and that's the trade-off, right? With, it does require weekly management with a search campaign, but you're going to see better results in the long run when you compare it to a smart campaign. Another thing is you can lose a lot of money, like I said earlier, if you don't know what you're doing. So, either learn about this stuff, like take a Google certification course, take a, online course. There's lots out there, or hire someone who knows what they're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, please don't run search campaigns. You're going to waste a lot of money. I promise you. There's one last thing I kind of wanted to compare. Google had a nice little table here that just kind of goes over everything in detail versus when you compare smart campaigns to search campaigns. And with bidding, you can see that you can select a whole bunch of bid strategies. You can select target CPA, you can select maximize clicks, you can do all this. And Google doesn't allow you to do that in a smart campaign. And that's again, the trade-off, simplicity over, results. And you're not going to see generally the same results in a search campaign as you would in a smart campaign just because it's easier to do, and you don't have the control to really optimize it later on. Another thing is the extension. So it automatically creates extensions. Um, which is good. It doesn't take time. It allows for an easy setup. Again, the trade-off is search campaigns. You can really customize anything here when it comes to extensions, exactly what you want to show up. And really, maybe one extension is costing you more money than another extension. You just don't want to show it. You can get rid of it in search campaign. You really can't with a smart campaign. Keyword creation. These really just automatically generate keywords, so you don't really have much control over what you're going to appear for. It's what Google thinks you should appear for, which isn't always a good thing, and generally it's not. With search campaigns, you can pick every single keyword you appear for, and it's very, very, I'm not going to say super user friendly, but it's relatively easily set up. But you need to know what you're doing in terms of phrase, broad, and exact match, and also negatives. Keyword editing. It allows for you to switch up the themes a little bit here in the smart campaign, but with, like I just said, in search campaigns, you can switch up the match type exactly for each keyword you want to appear for, which is much more useful later on. And when it comes to targeting certain individuals in your industry or whoever your customer is, and really appearing in front of them instead of just a broad, almost theme of people as opposed to the exact keyword, right? So again, that's the trade-off, simplicity. And like I said earlier on, reporting is much more easy to understand in a smart campaign. They use really easy to understand language, and they don't really use complex things like search impression share, which like a lot of people wouldn't understand what that is, so they don't show it. But in search campaigns, you can really do anything when it comes to reports. You can see everything. You can see the difference between the Google search network versus the display network versus the Google search partners on other search networks, and really go in depth and see what you should be optimizing for and which you shouldn't. And this is the difference between the spray and pray method and the actual search campaign method. So Google's going to try to show up on essentially whatever they can, search, maps, YouTube, Gmail, and partner websites. Just essentially try to get you as much exposure as possible and just try and figure out what you kind of should be targeting and allow Google's AI to optimize that for that, which can be good if you don't know what you're doing. With search campaigns, you really got to know who you're targeting. If you don't and you just spray and pray method, like essentially where Google's doing, you're going to lose. And Google's AI will optimize for it better, so go with a smart campaign if you don't know what you're doing in a search campaign. With that being said, search campaigns really allow you to target in and spend every single ad dollar as well as possible. And this is a one big thing I really don't like about the smart campaigns is it only allows you one landing page per campaign. So say you have a campaign that is HVAC, and you want it to have a landing page that says HVAC, you want one that says furnace repair, and you want one that says AC repair. You have to create three different campaigns, which is kind of a pain and it really doesn't allow for control. Whereas uh, in a search campaign, you're allowed multiple landing pages in multiple ad groups in one single campaign, which is really nice for control. And you can see and compare really easily which one is functioning better and really allow you to narrow in and maximize ad spend and figure out which landing pages are winners and which ones are losers and which ones you got to change. So that's an overview of smart campaigns versus search campaigns inside Google Ads. I much prefer search campaigns. They allow you much more control, allow you to optimize, and almost always have better results. That being said, if you don't really know what you're doing inside Google Ads, I'd recommend a smart campaign. They're very easy to set up, and you can see some good results with them. Other than that, if you guys have any questions, leave them down in the comment section down below. I'd be happy to answer that. I'd be happy to answer them. Other than that, you guys have a fantastic day and take care.